Well, it would seem this confession completely destroys the defense's case. Explain yourself, Prosecutor Asogi. Das frage ich mich jetzt aber auch. My learned friend's assertion was as follows. The victim was killed at another location on the day before his corpse was discovered. At the hands of these two red-haired leaguemen when they imprisoned the inspector. Ja, okay. Das stimmt, das kann nicht mehr wahr sein. But no, that can't be. After all, it wasn't the inspector who went to the park that day. It was me. Oh goodness. Finally, we have clarity. We had nothing to do with the murder of the inspector. And merci, Monsieur de la Défense, for proving it. What? Aha! Order, order, order! Indeed, it would appear that we have reached a de facto conclusion of sorts. These witnesses had no involvement in the murder of the victim, as proven, somewhat ironically, by the defense. I hereby call an end to the cross-examination. Oh no.
Hold it!
Kazuma? Pardon me, my lord, but with your permission, I would like to pose one further question to the witness. Kazuma? What question, counsel? It concerns the events of 10 years ago. I believe you would have been present at a very significant execution that was carried out at the time. 10 years ago? The execution of the professor, Genshin Asogi, der Vater von Kazuma. I want to know exactly what your involvement was. Oh! Answer me, man. One moment, counsel. Is this related to the current case? Naturally. Inwiefern? It is the prosecution's belief that this case and the events of 10 years ago are inextricably linked. Does the defense concur, counsel? Kazuma. You're not yourself. You're not as calm and collected as usual. Poor Kazuma-sama. No wonder he's acting this way. Mr. Vigil's memories of what happened 10 years ago would tell the tale of Genshin Asogi's last moments. His own father. I know. I do understand that. But even so. Prosecutor Asogi. Do you genuinely believe that this question requires an answer in order to learn the truth behind Inspector Gregson's death? I need you to trust me. Please. Whew. Very well. Then the defense has no objection. I see. In that case, you will answer the question, witness. The truth is, I remember very little of that time. You've forgotten! I'm sorry to say, yes. As I said, I resigned from my role at the prison 10 years ago. But for some peculiar reason, my memory of the events leading up to that moment is extremely hazy. Armer Kazuma. Does it not strike you as strange, Mr. Naruhodo? Sorry? Well, 10 years is a long time. But to have forgotten the reason why he left such an important job. Yes, you're right. And not only that. Mr. Vigil's claim contradicts what we already know. The human spirit is a fragile thing. It's broken all too easily. Was hat er denn gesagt? Remember for 10 years ago. Okay, er hat ja nicht resigned, er wurde ja gefeuert. Which is why we have a tendency to wrap it up for protection. Zoe? The human spirit? I'm afraid I don't understand what you mean. When we experience pain and suffering that we feel unable to bear, we block it out, obliterate it from our memories, seal it away. But it never truly leaves us. If the seal is broken, the memories resurface, and when they do, that fragile spirit may finally be crushed. But I really don't... Kazuma-sama. But if it must be crushed, then so be it, because the truth will not stay buried. It's coming out, one way or another. Right, now I understand. It's clear what his intentions are. He means to expose the truth, at any cost. Perhaps if I pointed out a contradiction in what Mr. Vigil claimed earlier, it might cause some crucial memories to return to him. But should I? Should I present the evidence or not? Würde ich machen, oder? Für Kazuma, für unseren Freund. I have no idea how this is going to go, but this is a court of law, and I have a duty to pursue the truth. Mr. Vigil, I'd like you to look at this. Evidence that clearly contradicts your version of events.
Take that!
Just a few moments ago, you made the following statement. I resigned from my role at the prison 10 years ago. Ah, well, yes. In other words, you claim to have left the post of chief warder of your own volition. Well, yes, of course. Why? Tell me. Do you remember seeing this document before? No, I don't. This is a dismissal note, ordering the immediate termination of a prison staff member's employment. A dismissal notice. And the name on the notice is yours, Mr. Vigil. What? It's mine? So you didn't resign from the prison service at all. For some reason, you were dismissed as chief warder from Barclay. No, there's been some mistake. I'm sure. I'm sure I tendered my resignation. This dismissal notice is nonsense. Isn't it? If you were forcibly dismissed, there must have been good reason. Clearly, you did something. Mr. Vigil, it's time to break the seal and have you remember. Die Musik ist gerade sehr düster. According to the few remaining records, the final execution that he supervised was on 17th June 10 years ago. And on that day, something very serious took place at Barclay Prison. The 17th of June? Was that the professor's execution? Professor. As you were the chief warder at the time, it stands to reason that you would have been present throughout the proceedings. It does sound familiar. And yet, that execution never took place. The convict, ostensibly executed earlier that day, later re-emerged from his grave. Und wer hat ihn dann erschossen? The convict came back to life. In the cemetery in the middle of the night, there was a witness. However, the witness claims that a moment after he saw the convict clambering out of his grave, a gunshot rang out from over his shoulder, and the bullet pierced the professor's chest, killing him instantly. Those may have been the professor's actual last moments. Yes. Yes! Seeing as you were in charge of overseeing executions at the time, you must know the truth about what really happened. It's in your head, somewhere deep down. Well, Chief Warder Daily Vigil. I know there are memories in your head that can explain what happened on 17th June 10 years ago. And now it's time for you to drag them up. Aha! Aha! Mr. Vigil. Yes, the whole prison. It was complete chaos. The prisoner escaped. He was killed in the cemetery. The shocking news ripped through Barclay like a hurricane. What? Order! Order! Do you mean to say, Mr. Vigil, that your memories of the time have returned? My head, it's like some floodgates have been opened. The images, the screams. Oh my goodness. The papers. There were reports, articles about a man who'd seen a ghost. Yes, Arnold Strapper. But surely those reports were exaggerated. There were traces at the scene. Traces of what? In Lowgate Cemetery, at plot number 139, blood. Lots of blood. That's where the man was buried, of course. Obviously, something terrible had happened there. The depths of conspiracy and depravity from which this tale is emerging are quite staggering. I've reviewed the police records from the time extensively. A thorough investigation was conducted by Scotland Yard to ascertain how the convict managed to escape in the first place. Kommt gleich ein Big Reveal. Ich habe so das, weil bisher ist ja alles bekannt. Bisher ist ja alles erkannt, dass er wieder auferstanden ist, dass er escaped ist, dass er erschossen wurde dann von irgendjemandem, wer auch immer das war. Das finden wir sicherlich auch noch heraus. Aber kommt gleich ein Big Reveal. Es fühlt sich so an, als ob gerade so ein Build-up stattfindet. And the conclusion reached by the investigation team was that a member of the prison staff must have been involved. Are you suggesting that the prison warder abetted the man's bid for freedom? Yes, and I was suspected of doing it. Of using that mass murderer's execution as a way to help him escape. You did what? I remember now. The horror of it all is coming back to me. One evening, a few days after the execution, some detectives came up to the prison. I was called to the governor's office at the top of the watchtower. I'm sorry, Daly. This is a serious business, but I can help you know. As chief warder, you were responsible for overseeing the execution before, eh? Well, it seems the fellas at Scotland Yard want to have a few wee words with you about it. You'd better pack your things, laddie. You're to attend in person. As soon as he told me that, my mind just went completely blank. And the next thing I knew, the professor, the most hated killer in our country's history. And I let him escape. I'm finished. My life is over. Ah! Ist er aus dem Fenster gesprungen oder was? Order, order! Bailiff, fetch a doctor at once! Der Professor, der military kann einer escape. Court is adjourned for today with immediate effect.
So, with Mr. Vigil's collapse, proceedings came to an abrupt end for the day.
Okay.
Once again overshadowed by the legacy of that notorious killer, appearing like a cursed ghost ship on a foggy ocean. Lord Van Zeeks, Mr. Vigil, Kazuma, and Gregson. All of them bound by invisible chains anchored to the same wreckage in the murky depths of the past. But the miraculous light that had been trying to cut through the gloom and shine on those tragic events was playing on the edges of the truth at last.
Okay. To be continued. Ja, moin. Ja, fucking moin. Save your current progress. Ja, uff, würde ich mal sagen. Uff. Ja, scheinbar hat er dem Professor irgendwie geholfen zu escapen. Aber der große Reveal war ja noch, steht ja jetzt noch aus. Also, I don't know. Noch ist es ja kein großer Reveal, dass er geholfen hat. Wir wissen ja, dass ihm geholfen wurde und er dann im Grab erschossen wurde. Und dann, als er damit konfrontiert wurde, ist er scheinbar... Oh, Entschuldigung, Schluck auf. Ist er scheinbar aus dem Fenster gesprungen. Wie kann ich mir das vorstellen? Der Mr. Vigil. Gut. Interessant, dass das Gericht dann auch sofort suspended ist, dass es sich sofort zurückgezogen hat. Ja, okay. Mal gucken, ob das überlebt. Mal gucken, ob wir noch mehr Informationen rausholen aus ihm, die uns actually die Wahrheit geben vielleicht. Das wäre vielleicht ganz cool für Kazuma. Und für uns auch zu wissen. Aber ich denke mal, das werden wir dann im nächsten Part sehen, weil ich werde jetzt erstmal die Aufnahme beenden, auch wenn sie jetzt 18 Minuten lang ist. Aber jetzt sind wir an einem Punkt, wo es nicht weitermachen würde, jetzt noch 12 Minuten weiterzumachen. Wo es keinen Sinn machen würde. Wo es nicht weitermachen würde, jetzt noch 12 Minuten weiterzumachen. Ich kann auch kein Deutsch. Wo es keinen Sinn machen würde, jetzt noch weiterzumachen. Also ich mache gleich weiter, aber das seht ihr in einem nächsten Part morgen. Also, ich bedanke mich fürs Zusehen. Ich bedanke mich fürs dabei sein und ich bin gespannt, wie das Ganze weitergeht. Also, bis morgen. Vielen Dank und so weiter. Und wir sehen uns in der nächsten Aufnahmesession. Goodbye, ciao, ciao, tüdelü und natürlich Einspruch.